let's look at how we can convert an infix expression to a postfix expression. So what we're going to do as the first step is mark our given expression with brackets so that we know the precedence of operators as well as we know in which order we want to evaluate this expression. So here, let's look at the example we have. In this example, we know that first we're going to do the multiplication part because the multiplication operator has precedence in comparison to the addition or the subtraction operator. Next, we can say that I want to do the addition portion, and last I want to do the subtraction portion. So now I have this expression marked with some brackets and I know exactly how I want to proceed. First I will do the multiplication, then I will do the addition, and then I will do the subtraction. So each pair of opening and closing brackets by themselves tell me which one operator I am going to perform in this bracket. For example, if I look at this and this bracket, I am performing the addition operation, whereas inside these brackets I am doing the multiplication. Now let's look at what we need to do every time we come across these brackets or the operators or the operands. We have a pseudocode written here. So when I see an opening bracket, I am going to push it onto a stack that I am maintaining. If I see an operator, I should also push on the stack. If I see an operand, I should directly print it. We'll see why this works. Similarly, if you see a closing bracket, you should pop from the stack until you reach an opening bracket and then print all of it. Let's get the intuition behind this first. So what we're trying to do is that we have to print the operator after both of its operands have occurred. Now for this small expression, I know that my output should be 8, 2 followed by the multiplication sign. But for the bigger expression which also has the addition portion, I need to print 4, then the other operand which is 8, 2 followed by the multiplication sign. This entire thing is operand 2, and after this I need to print the addition sign. This is why I actually needed the brackets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this addition sign in my stack until I have print all of its operands, and then after that I'm going to print the addition sign. My brackets are going to help me do this. Let's see how we can work through this example. First, we come across an opening bracket. Since we have an opening bracket, we're going to use rule number 1 and push it onto the stack. Second, we again see another opening bracket, we push it onto the stack. Then we see 4, which is an operand, so I'll use rule number 3 and I will directly print the operand here, so I get a 4 in my output. Then I come across the addition sign, which is an operator, so I look at rule number 2 and I push it onto the stack. Then I come across another opening bracket, I push it onto the stack, another operand, so I print it. Then I come across another operator, which is the multiplication sign, I push it onto my stack. Then I see 2, which is another operand, so I need to output it and I print it here. Now comes the interesting part. Now I reach a closing bracket. When I reach a closing bracket, the intuition is that I have to now wind up with one operator, because this is a closing bracket, so I must have completed some expression which contained one operator. So intuitively, if you look at this closing bracket, it should have wound up the operation that was related to this multiplication sign. And here we can intuitively see that we have already printed an 8 and a 2, which are the operands for this multiplication sign. So the next thing I should be doing is outputting the multiplication sign. So I go onto my stack and I start popping. So first thing I pop, I get the multiplication sign, I output it here. Next, when I go and see my stack again, I have an opening bracket. This opening bracket represents that this is where this expression started, the one that I've just completed. So this opening bracket is a sign that I have completed my expression for which I just encountered a closing bracket. So I can just pop off this opening bracket and be done with it. Now I move on to my next character, which is again a closing bracket. Now this closing bracket that we're looking at right now, we know that this is the closing bracket for the addition operator, for which the two operands were 4 and 8 into 2. So by our logic that we're following, we should have already printed both the operands. And as we can see in the output, we have printed both the operands, which are 4 and 8, 2 followed by the multiplication sign. This is operand 1 and this is operand 2. So the next thing I should be printing is the addition sign, and if I look at my stack, that is at the top. So I'm going to pop this addition sign and put it on the output. Now I go and look at my stack again, and I see an opening bracket. Now this is the opening bracket that actually represents the opening bracket for the addition operator, which is the one right here. So when I look at an opening bracket, it's fine. I can make sure that my expression has been completed, and I can move on to my next character, which is again the subtraction operator. Since it's an operator, I'm going to use rule number 2 to push it on the stack. Then I come across 10, which is an operand, so I can directly output it. And then I look at the last character, which is a closing bracket. Now I go on again to my rule number 4, and I try to look at the stack and see what I can pop. So when I go to the stack, the top of the stack is this subtraction operator. So I output this operator, and then I'm left with only the opening bracket, which is the opening bracket for the entire expression, the beginning opening bracket right here. And I know that if I have reached my beginning opening bracket, I have completed my expression. So at the end of it, you can pop out this last opening bracket, and you will be left with the postfix expression, which is 4, 8, 2, multiplication sign, addition sign 10, and subtraction sign. We can try to calculate this postfix expression and see if it is correct. The first operator I have here is the multiplication operator, for which the operands are 8 into 2. So the result of this postfix expression is 16. Now I have 4, 16 and the addition sign. The result for this postfix expression is 4 plus 16, which is 20. And then I have 10 and a negative sign. That means 20 minus 10. So my answer is 10 according to the postfix expression I have just calculated. And if I try to calculate my input, 8 into 2 is 16 plus 4, which is 20, and 20 minus 10 is 10. So I have calculated my expression in a correct manner.